It's highlighted in her report. Some of them, we have to shrink it. Everybody ready? Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Miss Heidi, ready to get going? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. We'll go ahead and convene today's workshop. This is the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners. It is Monday, August 4th, 2025. It is 1:00 p.m. We are at the Government Services Complex, and if I could everybody stand for the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, we'll take a brief moment of silence as we honor our men and women in the military and our first responders here at home. All right, thank you very much. All right, we got 3 topics for today's workshop. We're going to review legislative priorities, going to discuss our county attorney contract, and finish things up with a review of our fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement plan, and we'll have some discussion on budget as well. So we'll start off with our legislative priorities presentation. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Holly Albanese, Library Director. I'm here to go over some suggested priorities and find out where you want to go from here. The session, unfortunately, it's very condensed, so we only have till January. That's when the session begins, and so we have very little time. It's also my understanding there's a very good possibility our delegation meeting will be in September, maybe early October. With that said, we're trying to put our legislative program together prior to the delegation meeting, which again doesn't give us much time. I've already reached out to all the municipalities. They are in the process of putting theirs together as we speak. So I'll just go through a quick presentation and then try to get some direction from the board. So just to look briefly at our state policy priorities from last year, just to give you some recollection as to some of the things that we were requesting. Obviously, more money for the Transportation Disadvantage Program, affordable housing.
I'm sorry, Holly, I'm sorry. Can we ask questions as we go along instead
Sure.
of, so this can be more interactive than?
Absolutely.
Okay. So did we not just approve a grant for transportation disadvantage program? Okay.
Yes.
So I want to try to condense personally, but of course it's the will of everyone.
Sure.
I think we're adding on stuff instead of taking stuff off. And I just see an overall, I don't see them wanting to read all this. I mean, they did this for us and we got it. So why keep it on here? I mean, I'm just trying to weed out as we go.
We don't have to. This is just a reminder. This slide is a reminder of what we requested last year.
Okay.
Last session.
Okay.
We'll get into like what it is you want for next session.
Okay.
And whatever you guys, the board says that you would like is what we'll go forward with. This is your program. So just,
These are more policy things
This
than
is, we're not asking
specific
for money,
requests.
Kim.
Right.
This is just a policy, and we need to keep it on there every year, because every year, they either fund it or they don't. And if they don't fund it, we're hurting.
there's always a possibility that they won't fund a particular program. There was extra money in the transportation disadvantage. There was extra money in cybersecurity, scrap and SCOP. I have those numbers here if anybody wants to know. Beach renourishment programs, and as I sent around some funding allocations, there was about $3 million allocated specifically for Flagler County for beach projects. And then, of course, there was money for, no, that's not it. So vacation rentals, thankfully this year, nothing on vacation rentals. There was one item on the home rule, and I know Sean sent around a really nice succinct policy position on that, and we'll talk more about that. But this was last year's, and you can choose to keep some on. You can choose to get rid of them. You can also choose for new ones. So I just wanted to remind you. Also reminding you on the state funding priorities that we did request last year. So it was design and construction of the Black Branch North Drainage System, relocation and construction of a new sheriff's substation and marine unit, renovation and construction of a new wing to the UF-IFAS Extension Office, and then the Regional Trails and Conservation Center for Tourism. And those are the amounts that we had requested. The only one that actually went forward and made it to the budget initially was the Regional Trails and Conservation Center. But in the end, 1.5 million was in the budget, and then in the end, as they were conferencing and moving money around, it wound up being moved out. So we didn't wind up with any money for that project.
Holly, for this year, did we consider again maybe doing a scaled-down version of the improving South 1 for industrial use, the water and sewer issue? Because it was such a big number. But that's the one that our representative really liked. He wanted to push that one.
So it is probably too big a number. It
we'd
was
have to scale
always
it
a heavy
down.
lift.
Yeah, we'd have to scale it down.
Maybe what we could do is ask for funding for design and study. So that's a start, right? So we could ask for that money to see what the needs would be and what the actual cost will be to bring that online. So that's a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
By September, you're saying, to do this in September?
We have to have our, what policy and funding priorities the board would like to move forward with by the beginning of September.
Right, so if we have to do a study in order to decide.
Oh, no. I'm saying as
Get the money
a
for the study.
funding priority, we could ask them for money for,
I want to understand that, but
Oh,
you just
okay.
said something about a study, and we had another study we talked about at the last meeting, and it seemed like it would take a month to get a study. So how do you get a study?
We're not going to do a study. We're asking for money for the
I'm speaking
study.
to Holly and asking her a question, please.
yes, Commissioner Richardson, we're not asking to do the study now within the month.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's just to ask the legislature to provide the funding so that we can go forward with a study and the design plan.
Okay, so we're asking them for money for a study.
Yes, and design.
It wasn't as clear as what
I apologize.
No, don't apologize. I just wasn't clear.
Okay, not a
I want to make
problem.
sure that we understand what we're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
And Holly, did we all hear very clearly that if we didn't have any skin in the game, that not to even put it on paper? So I guess you would have to show us, the number one thing is how we are not self-funding, but
Right.
how we are sharing the cost on some of these projects. because
Absolutely.
the three projects we put in the budget are very clear: stormwater, right? Roads.
Correct,
And the beach.
correct.
So moving off of those three main items where we have already self-directed funding might be a little difficult this year.
So you're talking about our priorities from last year, right?
Correct.
And in the House form that I have to fill out and submit prior to them becoming a bill, I do have to put down what our match is. It can be, it doesn't absolutely have to be a cash match. It could be in the form of say we're providing the land and what the value of that land is. So I do show a match in every one of these. And the Regional Trails and Conservation Center actually had, I believe, a $10.3 million match. So we had a lot of skin in the game on that one in particular. I don't know what happened to it, but whatever you decide to move forward with, yes, the legislature would like to see some sort of skin in the game by the county, no matter what it is. So we do have to think about that moving forward with any of the items that you would like to include. So the suggested policy priorities, again, I put these in, but it's your program. So whatever it is that you would like to have on here, we can remove whatever it is you don't want to have. We always put the transportation disadvantage only because we want them to know how important this program is to us and to continue to support it. Same thing with affordable housing and cybersecurity, scrap and SCOP, all really important programs. Obviously, beach nourishment programs to restore and stabilize the coastline. Short-term vacation rentals, we want them to know that we do not want that legislation to change. Continue to support home rule. And obviously, last year, there was a possibility of those TDT taxes being changed on their allocations and everything. So we want to also let the legislature know how important those TDT taxes are to our community. And the last one is that SB 180. I know that Chair Dance and has been, very involved in this, and I know that Deputy County Attorney Sean Moylan provided a policy position to the commissioners, and he very succinctly described what was going on. And so what I did was I took his recommendations in that policy position and included them in this request, which is a policy position request to modify, to fix the issues within SB 180 based on Sean's recommendations. So whatever you'd like to move forward with, and you don't have to tell me right this second, but I just want you to start thinking about that. And should you have any other policy priorities that you can think of that maybe I haven't, certainly we can bring them forward.
A couple points.
Sure.
Do we need to add, I think for scrap and SCOP, or is that one of the ones that is based on our small county numbers?
Yeah.
So are we pushing for increasing the cap so that we continue to get those monies?
We've tried that. We certainly can try it again. As you know, we fell out of READY. We're no longer a rural economic development initiative. So we're not a ready county anymore because we are above the 125, which is where you would be for a contiguous county. And we were contiguous to Putnam. Putnam, I think, is over 75 now. So they may not even qualify at this point as a ready county unless they're contiguous to another ready county that is below 75. So we're definitely out of that particular thing. We've tried for the caps. I think, I'm not sure if it's scrap or SCOP, and I apologize, I can come back with that information for you. But one of them did have the caps changed a while back, and I know at the time it was Senator Hudson who mentioned it, that they did change that, but some of the caps still do affect, and again, I apologize. I don't know which one it is, if it's scrap or SCOP, but it's certainly something that we can put on here again. I think that in the state of Florida, populations have increased significantly, and I brought it up previously that these levels, the population levels within this particular statute has not really been addressed since 2009. So with the population increase, it is something that I had hoped that they would look into With us, we lose a lot of things by not being considered a ready county. It does affect like your grant positions and things like that.
We might
So-
just want to check with the Small County Coalition, because I know it's their priority as well.
Is
to
it theirs
continue-
this
yeah,
year?
to continue to
Right.
bump their
Absolutely.
numbers.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into it again, and I can always bring that back as another option for a policy priority if that's something that you'd like to consider.
The other one on a policy issue was adding something on the safe school funding allocation and the way they do it. Because if there's any way we can help the school district in pushing for a review of allocations to where they could qualify for more money, it would help everybody.
I think we talked about this last year. I don't think it actually made it to the program. Now, the school is included. They do
Right.
provide information for our unified agenda, right? So our unified program will include the school, and I have been in touch with LaShaka Moore, our superintendent, and she has said that they are working on it, so they will be providing information. But if that is something that you'd like to add to our policy priorities, we certainly can do that as well.
Or maybe we check with our representative and senator and see if it is more powerful coming on multiple
a count-
fronts than just one.
Sure, we can do that.
May I ask Sean a question?
Sure.
Hi, Sean. Under the policy position on the Senate Bill 180, do you see the third point where it says eliminate Section 2? What's the history or motivation or whatever where they would take that position on the floodplain? So we're taking it out, obviously, because we're opposed to it. We're going to be opposed to that.
Yes, they were trying to make it easier for people to rebuild their houses after a storm without having to build up to the modern code, that they could remain grandfathered in because they wouldn't be triggering this 50% rule.
Okay.
Where if the cost of your repairs exceed half the value of the home, you're no longer grandfathered and have to bring it up to the current code, which could be quite expensive for a lot of people. But as I put into that policy statement, it has a ripple effect on insurance and our participation in the National Flood Program.
Okay. No, I agree. I just wanted a little bit more history, but I don't know who would want that to stay in, but we should obviously take the position that we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, this past session was kind of a weird one. Not many bills actually made it through. We were, as I mentioned previously to the commission, I was tracking about 120 bills that may have had some sort of impact to the county, good, bad, or indifferent. I was tracking them, and out of the bills that we were tracking, SB 180 was one that went through, and HB 703, which was utility, had to do with utilities, and on that one, we were monitoring it, making sure certain things, we were working with our lobbyists, and there was something on the utilities where it was going to be on the onus of the county to pay to move the utilities for broadband, and that didn't wind up happening, so we were fine with that. And SB 180, we were tracking that one too. I was working with Jonathan Lord on this one. There was something about 911 in there, and that got changed, and at the end, everybody seemed happy with that. However, obviously, we all missed these little things that kind of get thrown into these bills that sometimes you don't really see, but unfortunately, we all missed that one. So, but this is not unusual. These things happen, and so that's why they do something that's called a glitch bill, where they'll fix these issues in the next session. So that's kind of what this is about, is asking them to fix these issues. So, all right, so suggested, and these are just basically priorities that we already discussed previously. I'm not going to go into into depth on any one of these. I just want to remind you of some of the things that we talked about, and if there's anything on this list, and I'll go to the options at the end. One was a new headquarters for the supervisor of elections. The next one was replace and construct a new fire station at the current location in Corona. A joint facility for fire station, sheriff's district office near Cody's Corner. Construction of a new county animal shelter. Expansion of infrastructure along US 1 in support of economic development, which Commissioner Hanson has already mentioned. Of course, I think you know we need to keep the amounts down, and that one was pretty hefty, so we'll have to look at, something smaller. Malacompra Canal restoration, design and construction of that one. So that was the last of the ones that we looked at, on top of all the ones that we did put forward earlier and obviously never made it to the budget. So any of those. So you can select any or all of those funding requests that we discussed in 24 and 25. You can discuss and select any of your own recommendations. If you have any recommended priorities that, I haven't thought of or staff hasn't thought of. Another recommendation, and I know you've had a meeting, each of you individually, with the lobbyists to maybe have a debrief of what happened last session and talk about where we go from here. And one of the things that I've been talking to them about as well is the possibility of meeting with Representative Greco and Senator Leak to determine what their priorities might be for the county. And maybe we could align our priorities, because then, there's more of a vested interest on their part, and maybe we can actually see some traction on these items. But that would be a third option. And then a fourth option is just to put forward this year policy priorities, if that's what you choose to do. But those are the options that I have, and I'm open to anything that the commission would like to do going forward.
I wanted to find out if we're ready to, using our compound study analysis from the regional council, be able to prioritize projects within there yet and get them on the list. Is there anything that stands out from that report? I know we haven't been officially presented in front of the commission yet, but
I'd probably defer to engineering. I know that they've been looking at it as well as some other programs, so I'd probably defer to them. I don't know if we have anything
because
specific.
those studies are what helps us as well. That's already been done, third-party verified and data compiled to back those up. So I don't know, between now and when we meet again or we review this again, maybe if there's an opportunity to see if something stands out.
Certainly, we can talk about it
We can
internally
use
and then
that
come
too
back.
for our beach funding or some other potential to tie that into some of these other projects where we didn't have that as a backup last time, maybe Hawk Creek or
That was the Black Branch.
Black Branch.
Yeah, that one. That was on the, it was one of the funding priorities we put forward last session, but didn't
Right.
get any traction, so.
Well, is the fact that it didn't get traction the project, or is it our preparedness? Because I'd like to see Black Branch North Drainage System get back on. We asked for design and construction. Again, maybe we cut that one up a little bit, but we also are putting funding towards stormwater. Would this be part of our stormwater project?
Possibly it could be. We have money set aside for some design work next year in the budget. I believe it's either $400,000 or $500,000.
So if we have design, maybe we can throw in some construction stuff. But I want to leave as much stormwater on the table as we can. Water is going to be an issue. Water has been an issue. I had dinner with Representative Greco. He came up to me after the dinner Saturday night and said, look, I want to fight for you guys. We just got to get it right. So I don't see any hesitation whatsoever with either of our representatives to help us by telling us what to put in there. So, But I think we should always have a water. The design and construction at Malacompra, I don't know that that's on the stormwater project, but it definitely ties with the intercoastal and should also stay, maybe not at such a magnitude, but, it should stay as a focus. These projects are big, and they affect, that one especially would be in a flooding situation, so I'm good with, I don't know if we're going to pick today, but I would like to stay on water. Not so much buildings, but water and infrastructure.
I just want some direction. I can bring them back on the 18th, the ones that you discussed today, and we can have further discussion and narrow it down even more. I know both the Black Branch and Malacompra were, we requested, and I know engineering did those requests in particular, but we did request funding from DEP. When we didn't get the money through the legislature previously, it was Speaker of the House Renner at the time who had recommended, because the governor was vetoing all the water projects, and recommended that we go for this DEP grant.
Right.
Unfortunately, there was not enough money. I think they said that they had 200 million allocated, and there was well over, like, I want to say 800 million requested. And so we just, we had 4 projects that we requested for this grant, and we didn't get any, obviously, on that grant. It doesn't mean we can't apply again.
But our representatives can follow the grants, so can't our lobbyists, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
I got an off-the-wall question. What a surprise. Are we asking too much? When I see a list like this and we have all that, are we asking for too much? Sometimes I think, they're looking at cutting and cutting and cutting, right? And I just don't know whether our priorities are that many and where our priorities are. And I can't speak for the last 10 or 20 years, but we're in a new time now where things have changed significantly, financially, economically, and direction. So I'm just wondering if we're overdoing, when I see that first list you brought up, I'm not knocking any of them, but are we fulfilling any of our obligations of what we think we're asking for? If we're getting zero,
Right.
zero from something is zero from nothing. So that's...
We've received money in the past, obviously. In 5 years I've been doing this, and we've probably received close to $50 million with everything that we've requested. Now, yes, we're in a different time. Both Senator Leak and Representative Greco are kind of junior, right? So it takes them time to build relationships and get to a point where they can actually have some, power within the legislature. And I think they do support us, highly support us. And I do agree that we need to bring the right projects forward, and we need to bring some skin in the game along with that. And I do think that we probably should consider what we're asking as far as amounts. Like, we talked about the US 1 project. So instead of going in asking for $27 million, maybe we go in asking for whatever the cost for design and study. Maybe it's $3 million, and we say we're going to put whatever, $1 million up front, and we're asking, $2 million, something like that.
Just wondering if we're over asking and under getting.
I do think when we get together, we need to whittle it down. We
Yeah.
need to take an exercise where we prioritize and stick with the top 3 or 4 and
We want to make sure that
determine
that's
that.
everybody's priorities, yeah.
I think the lobbyists would agree that we probably should have no more than 3 on the list,
Right.
prioritize them in order, and so that our legislature knows what our top priorities are, because in the end, they may only be able to get 1 through. And whatever your top priority is, hopefully that would be the one that they get through for us. The water project's a great idea. The only reason why I don't think we saw them last year was because they wound up being vetoed the year before by the governor, and he wanted us to go for the grants. That's what he basically told it. He literally cut and vetoed every water project that was in the budget that year. Now, last year, I do know there were more water projects that went through the budget, and they did get through last year. So, you know, I don't understand why the big veto one year and then letting them through the next year, but you know, it's whatever the commission would like to do going forward. If you'd like to designate somebody on the board, like the chair, to meet with our legislators, Representative Greco and Senator Leek, to maybe talk to them and discuss what their priorities are, so he can bring that back to the next meeting, and then we can, you know, talk about that and maybe narrow these down. You don't have to go with any of the ones that I presented here as far as the funding priorities. I just put those forward so you can see where we've been, what we've looked at. If there's anything on that list that still interests the board, I'll be glad to, you know, put it forward. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Appreciate the
Not a problem.
explanation.
I think it does help if we understand, right? Last year, we had an idea from the Senate president and the speaker where they were going to push things.
Right.
So, and some of those didn't even get through. The senator's primary bill didn't get through, so.
No, that was the rural renaissance.
Yeah.
It never even made it through.
So maybe there's something, if they push that through. But I think it would be good, I think it's very helpful if we know Senator Leek or
Right.
Representative Greco what their priorities are, because we can piggyback on top of those.
And they may already have an indication the direction the legislature is going to go this year that we're not privy to at this point. So I don't think it would be a bad idea if someone met with them and maybe, you know, talked to them and gave them an idea of things that we were looking at and see what they can get behind, what, you know, what their priorities are while they're in the legislature.
Right.
And again, maybe we can align our stuff with theirs. I mean, until we actually have that discussion with them. And I know the lobbyists met with each of you and had a discussion, so all I'm looking for is some direction for the next meeting, so I can bring some stuff back to you. We can continue the discussion. If you'd like me to go meet with Representative Greco and Senator Leek, I'll be glad to do that and bring back what our discussion was, or you can designate someone on the board to go. It's really up to the board,
Right.
whatever you'd like to do from here on. But we have to have, whatever our agenda is, I need it completed and approved by this body by the first week in September, so that I can then, because printing and putting the whole program together takes a couple of weeks.
Well, we'll workshop, bring this back on the 18th.
Yes.
And finalize everything, whittle it down. If you can get an appointment with Representative Greco or Leek, I'm happy to, you know, to have that. I think, right, we got in trouble last year if we bring too many of our commission together to those meetings, so we'll have to do it,
Yeah, you
have
can't
one
bring-
representative from the commission and report back.
Yeah, you can't bring 5, so, but yes, you know, if the commission's consensus is that Chair Dance, you're the one who goes, that's fine. I can set up the appointment with the lobbyists. We'll get an appointment for you before the 18th, so that way you'll be prepared to talk about on the 18th, you know, the direction.
Aren't they local? Aren't they local right now? They're not in Tallahassee.
Yes.
They're off
You
session.
can't just call, you have to go through the lobbyist to get an appointment?
No, I can call them and get
You
an
should be able
appointment
to,
on my
yeah.
own, yeah. I like to work,
Initial discussion needs to happen. I think a lot of energy, staff-wise, financially, whatever, goes into this process. And best to have, you know, a leg, or at least some knowledge, prior knowledge, would be very beneficial.
And hopefully we'll have Leanne back, and she's very in tune with the legislative process too, so she'll have good input.
absolutely. I can contact both offices and set up a meeting.
Okay.
I will get with you, Chair Dance, to coordinate that. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
And I do, as it is, I guess we will talk about it when we come back, but I agree, we need to whittle this down, especially the monetary requests.
Absolutely.
And I'll get behind a more condensed version.
They may not be aware of what's going to happen or what the direction of their houses are going to be doing at this point, because they haven't even begun to caucus and talk. They get an idea. They've got an old.
Right.
I know they got an idea. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they don't. So are we? Well, I'll just let it go at that. I'll leave it at that. Holly, I appreciate the effort you're putting into this, and I hope that we can maybe champion some good funds for the right reasons, for the right places.
Sure.
That would fit into our priorities and hopefully their priorities as well.
Absolutely.
I just want to thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our second item. This is the county attorney contract review. Mr. Salinas.
Here he comes. He comes.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. Jorge Salinas, Deputy County Administrator. And today we're going to be covering the professional service agreement. On July 17, 2025, Board of County Commissioner approved through a 5-0 vote to hire Mr. Miguel Rodriguez. And this is an agreement between the Board of County Commissioners and Miguel Rodriguez. So the effective date of this agreement would be August 11th of 2025. That is the expected start date for Mr. Rodriguez. So going through, I'm just going to go touch a couple things through the agreement. You can stop me at any time if you have any questions. The term of the agreement should continue to remain in effect until the county attorney resigns or the Board of County Commissioners does not require Mr. Rodriguez's services. In terms of termination, resignation, and suspension, the termination by the board retains the right to terminate this agreement at any time, subject to applicable provisions of Chapter 125 of Florida statute. In terms of resignation by the county attorney may resign at any time by providing the Board of County Commissioners 4 weeks prior written notice. Article 5, which is salary and benefits. The county attorney's annual salary should be $195,000. The county attorney shall receive a cell phone like the rest of the directors, and a vehicle allowance for the county attorney of $500 a month.
So who negotiated that?
The salary was an initial
The
request.
car allowance.
Car allowance is given to both Heidi Petito, County Administrator, and the county attorney. It's been
Just because it's always been that way, or was it negotiated?
it's actually been a practice. Normally, positions at this level do get a county attorney, get a stipend or a car allowance. It's not uncommon.
Well, it doesn't mean it has to be done.
It doesn't mean that, but
Just
I'm
like employees that have a union contract. I'm not in favor of the car allowance.
So, okay, we'll just continue, and then the board can discuss how they want to address it. I'm just providing kind of the terms. In terms of performance and review and adjustments, for the effective term of this agreement, at least once each fiscal year between October 1st and the 31st, the board will review and evaluate the county attorney's performance. Also, the county attorney will provide the board a self-evaluation and a summary of accomplishments for the county attorney's office for the preceding 12 months. In terms of benefit, the county attorney shall participate in fringe benefits programs offered to senior management employees. That includes the majority of the directors, which also the other employees receive part of these, which is group insurance, vacation leave. Anybody that starts in Flagler County accumulates 20 days of leave, that's combining what some people used to have, sick leave and vacation leave. It's all professional time off or time off. And also participate in the Florida retirement system. And the person can select either the retirement system or investment. That's a selection that people can do on their own. Okay. In terms of severance pay, this is also dictated by Florida statute, which is in case that there's a termination based on misconduct. There is a Florida statute, section 443036-29, that dictates it'll be 20 weeks of pay if it's not related to any misconduct or anything like that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the effective date is August 11, 2025. Any questions?
Comments? Do you
Sure,
want
absolutely.
comments? Want
Yep,
questions? Okay, great. Well, first of all, I think you picked up on yourself, Jorge. I think it should be called paid time off, not vacation time. It's a very misleading
Right.
term. If somebody has to call out sick, they're not taking vacation time.
Right.
I think the general,
PTO,
it's called
PTO.
PTO.
Right.
PTO.
Yeah, so if we
Paid
can do
time off,
that,
yeah.
that's great. It doesn't talk about, unless I'm just not familiar with what all the employees get, it doesn't talk about steps to additional time off. So is that negotiated? Once we get to 5 years vested with Mr. Rodriguez, do we give him another week? I don't know how it works.
Yeah, it's based on hours. I think the scale is between, starting up to 5 years, you get the same amount. That's what I get today.
Yeah.
When I get into 5 years, all employees, in fact, 5 years to 6 or 7 years, there's another number. It's all spelled out, but it's like a fraction. It goes like 20 to 21 days, 22 days, and so on, and there's a cap on 15 years.
Okay, so when we say that the county attorney shall participate in fringe benefit program, that's inclusive of all of the other fringe benefits, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Which would include additional paid time off and things like that?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I also have, under the performance review, D, that the salary shall be adjusted annually by the cost of living based on the consumer price index. Those are two different items. It's one or the other. You don't get COLA and CPI. We gave CPI this year, but we normally give COLA. Can we just say, or in coordination with performance review? So as we do the review, we give him a raise at the same time? Do we have to tie it to COLA or CPI?
Yeah, the way we do is the consumer price index is a number that we get from the federal government.
Yes.
Based on that number, we use it to calculate the cost of living allowance, which is COLA. So the CPI is used to calculate the COLA, and that's what everybody gets when the board approves the COLA. So everybody would get that number. Now, there is like a merit increase that you might want to apply or not, but that's the difference. But the COLA, everybody will get it automatically.
Yeah, the
So can we-
performance is in C above.
Yeah,
And D basically says he's treated like everybody else in
from
the
that perspective, from the
organization.
COLA, cost of living.
Whole
Or
staff
the
got
board may
COLA,
increase
right.
annual
Yeah.
base salary. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. And then the only other thing that I was looking for it, so I have to admit, I was a Hawkeye on this. What got us to where we all started with Mr. Hadid was the accrual of such time.
Okay,
St. Johns County did a great job in their maxing it at 320 hours. This one basically says accrued, unused, again, vacation time should be paid time off or paid leave, may be paid upon separation, not to exceed the maximum established per county policy. Are you leaving it vague for a reason? Are we leaving it vague so that we change the policy? We don't have to come back and change the contract?
Yeah, we're actually, Heidi and the administration team in HR working on updating the policy because of what we experience. We're actually looking at adding or looking at costing to see how much would be to have short-term disability. One of the reasons people are accumulating hours is for that short-term disability for an emergency. So if we provide short-term disability, maybe they don't have to accumulate those hours, and we can lower the cap to something like 2 times your annual accrual. So that way nobody can go above that. But most people do accumulate just because they don't have short-term disability, and you have to cover the first 90 days out of the pocket or short-term disability insurance. So you use those days that you accumulated just to, be able to survive and be able to feed your family while you're recuperating from an illness.
Okay. So again, we're waiting for the county policy. We know it's going to be some number.
Right.
We're going to approve that number. Will it come across, will it come here?
Will
that policy
I don't know.
come
That's
up here?
more administrative. It's more under the administrative. We'll share the number, but it's more administrative policy.
Okay.
Administration
But
policy.
for the sake of this contract.
Right.
Can we put a number in? Can we say up to, so if it's 20 hours per year, can we put
20
a number
days.
in?
Yeah, as a board, you can decide that number, but then I'll allow some time for Mr. Rodriguez to come and talk his part, because this is an agreement between you as a board and Mr. Rodriguez, yeah.
Right, but what we set for the staff might not work for Mr. Rodriguez.
That's correct, yeah. So
Okay.
you have the opportunity to change it here.
Okay. So with Mr. Hadid, he had to give up some time because according to policy, he had gone over the amount of time.
Right.
Do you remember about how many hours that was? I'm not suggesting Mr.
no.
Rodriguez is going to be here 25 years,
Yeah.
believe me, but,
The number was about 100 and something hours. The reason is because we calculate the max at December, and normally some of the folks can, consume those hours before the December, and they don't lose them. But since he was leaving in August, he probably thought that everything could be cashed in, but there's a max. We had a cap, so we
and
had
what
to.
was that cap? How many hours, do you
I think
remember?
the cap was 600 and
Oh.
672 was the cap. Yeah.
Oh, I would go that high. I'd like the 320 in St. John's, I'm just going to say. I like that number. I don't know how they came up with it, but
Do they have the other benefits, the other
yes,
disability?
the exact same, 20
Some
days.
other organizations do have that. I think
Towns may
Palm
have
Coast has
disability.
the
I
short-term
don't know
disability.
about that.
Yeah,
So we have to make sure it's apples to apples.
right.
I have a quick question. I thought we were going into a term of a 3-year term, or like we do on our leases type of thing. Somewhere I thought I read that about this, yet it doesn't seem like there's any term on here other than termination, unless I just missed what you said.
Yeah, originally since when we drafted this, we picked from multiple contracts from different counties, and then we put a term in years. But as I was talking to Mr. Rodriguez on this, he pointed out a section that is on the Volusia contract, and I think that he can probably explain this much better than I can.
Good.
But that was the reason we changed it.
So you offered, he counteroffered. So now we're talking about the counteroffer.
Yeah, and then I couldn't have you as a board talk to me about it, so I just provided the draft of Mr. Rodriguez's counteroffer on that piece, and he'll be able to explain that. But then here is the forum where you can actually,
Okay,
Work on it.
I remembered reading one thing and I'm seeing something else, so that's what my
Yeah.
question is.
It-
Good, I'm sure he'll be, welcome to explain it.
yeah. Michael, you go ahead and address that, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
For the record, Michael Rodriguez, your hopefully future county attorney. It was not necessarily more in the lines of a counteroffer, but I wanted to create a consistency. Because the original term had a term of the contract, basically a contract term. So it was an employment contract with a term, thereby a 2-year employment contract. Usually when you have a fixed term employment contract, you're going to have the value of that contract 2 years. So in theory, if I were to be terminated prior to that term expiring, there can be an argument that I'm entitled to the value of that contract. Now, that then runs, you can then have an inconsistency argument with Florida statutes, which provides that there is a maximum amount of your severance or what the value is. So every other employment contract in every jurisdiction that I've reviewed, and then one of the ones I reviewed was the Volusia contract, one I am familiar with. It was one of my former jurisdictions. It does leave it open-ended, especially since Florida is an at-will state, and most county and city attorneys are at-will employees. You have that contract being open-ended, that you serve at the will of the board, that your employment term could be 25 years, and along those lines, I don't plan on being county attorney for 25 years because I have no plans on practicing law at the age of 78. I can assure you of that. I plan to be roaming the earth at 78, hopefully, knock on wood, not practicing law. But by leaving it that, then the questions of severance are governed by Florida statutes, and it's fixed by statute. So to alleviate any potential inconsistencies or kind of any muddled legal arguments, I proposed, hey, it's easier if we just have that there's no term.
Right.
This contract is open-ended.
Right.
We are both voluntarily, agree. I can voluntarily leave. You can voluntarily dismiss me for cause or for without cause. Those terms are governed by statute. They're outlined. We are subject to annual performance reviews. I will present every year an update to show the work that the office is doing. You will evaluate such work, and we do that on an annual basis. But I think it was just a cleaner contract, just a cleaner basis, and it's much more consistent with the other jurisdictions that I have reviewed and prepared in the past.
I understand. I just saw something was sent out earlier, and it was very short and very distinct, exactly in a certain line of order. So I appreciate the explanation, and it sounds like it's a unilateral benefit for both parties, so.
It is, because it leaves it, it's clear for both. It's
Right.
really clear for both. And I also believe it's clear for the public. The public
Yeah.
understands, hey, we're both we both have an arm's length agreement here.
Right.
Each one of us can get out of it clearly. And I think it's
Thank you.
it's
I
clear for everybody.
appreciate the explanation. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
We're good?
Additional
Any other-
comments, questions?
So St. John's pays for the premium for group health insurance and for accidental death and dismemberment insurance pertaining up to $500,000 coverage. And it's part of the W-2. It's reported, let's put it that way.
So we'll work on the cap. That's something that Heidi had us tasked to work on, and we'll provide the information. Anything in addition to,
And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is we ended up with the county, make sure I'm saying this right, the county accrues for paid time off.
Right.
The constitutionalists do not. So if somebody that works in the clerk's office, if they lose 7 employees in 1 year because of retirement, all of their paid time off accumulation gets paid out in that budget.
right,
So for us, it's not so bad, right? One of our number one or highest paid employees will be accruing, but we're accruing in our carry forward monies to pay that out.
that's correct. So, whatever the desire of the board is to put a cap here or just leave it to run by the policy, but we definitely we will be working on the policy to make sure that we don't have this happen again in terms of having those extra hours.
I think it should be consistent, personally, with
Okay.
our policy, which is it too much to ask to review that or to bring it to us for a review, or?
We can certainly share the draft,
Yeah.
the changes with you. The area that you're probably not going to be able to change is people that are covered by collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
But for the general employees, that is something that we talked about with the recent retirement, because we want to limit that leave liability that we're carrying on the books so that you're not accruing it as you go and then getting paid out at the top end of your career. So it does create a challenge. We do budget it, though it is in the reserves, and we provide the reserves for the constitutionals as well, so.
And we need to reiterate that it's healthy for them to escape
off, yes.
and take their vacation time or to use their personal time off for whatever benefit it is of them personally or their family. It's we can't be all consumed. It's not healthy. All right. So at this time, we need either some modifications suggested or approval of the contract.
We can't vote on it, right? I mean, we can talk about it.
Oh, we're going to bring it back up to the special meeting. Thank you, sir. Good point. So we will, the point of the special meeting is to bring this back.
Right.
All right, very good. So think about it until we come back for the special meeting,
Yeah, and then
Appreciate
during
that.
the special meeting.
When is it?
immediately
It's right
following.
after this meeting.
Oh, that's special meeting.
That's special meeting. That's
I'm
why it's
ready for-
special.
I'm ready for it. I'll be here all night, as a matter of fact,
Okay,
till the weather stops.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. All right, and now we'll move to our fiscal year 2025-26 budget and capital improvement plan presentation and discussion. And thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for being here.
It's in the hot seat.
The lights are going to go off for Brian.
No, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Brian Egginger, Financial Services. So a lot of what we're going to see today is stuff you guys have already seen. This is really just kind of a check-in with you guys to see if you guys have any additional changes you want to do. That way we're getting ahead of it so we have a smooth first and second public hearing to adopt. So get started. So here's the list of the meetings that we've already held about the budget so far this year. Next up, we have today's meeting. The next time I come back to you guys on the 18th, we'll be looking at the entire 5-year CIP. What we're going to talk about today is just year one of it, which is what's funded for the 26 budget. And then we'll have the first and second public hearings to adopt the budget. Just a reminder, our strategic priorities. So when we're looking at the projects, keeping these in mind. So first up, we have the capital preservation projects, HHS repaving parking lot, Princess Place Green Trail Bridge, roof replacement for the Bing's Landing dig site, the David Siegel Center doing the refresh that you guys previously mentioned, Legacy House renovation and roof replacement, our annual roof replacement and HVAC projects, our annual ADA transition plan projects, SOE renovation, and the Lehigh Trail resurfacing culvert to Old Kings Road.
I just wanted to use this opportunity. I had shared an email to Ms. Petito, but Mr. Egan, who is a historian very in tune with Bing's and the Malacompra dig site, has been sharing a lot of information to me about the dig site and the importance being a national, on the National Register of Historic Places. So I let him know that the roof was being replaced, but he's got a list of items that I just want to make sure we bring these up for discussion for next year's budget. I don't want to mess with this year's budget, but he's got some good ideas about signage and redoing the area around the dig site to make it stand out a little bit more that it is a National Historic Place. I don't think any of his requests are overly expensive, but just to put that in the folder for when we look at next year's budget, maybe we can get an idea of some of these costs and see about if they could be included next year.
depending on the cost, it's certainly possible that that could be absorbed within the park's operating budget. So when we get
Well,
more
we do the
specifics.
master plan too is being finished, right?
Well, we do have money set aside, as you recall, as part of that settlement with Captain's Barbecue. Money set aside for master planning of the Bing's property. It does include replacement of some of the signage and improvements that are mentioned, so we can probably do that now. The money was actually set aside, I think it was in '25. It may have rolled into, or maybe '24 going into '25, but we do have some funding available, and the rest may be absorbed, depending on the cost.
Okay, but again, just wanted to share, been holding on to these things just because budget's been tight, but with the roof being replaced at least this year, maybe next year, or within some of those budget funds, you could share with Mr. Dixon the email that I put together. And maybe he can bring it back so everybody can look at those items. Or if you want, I can share the emails. If you haven't been getting Mr. Egan's emails, I can share them with you. Okay. All right, thank you. That's all.
I have a question. I guess it's for Heidi. I know we talked about the Siegel Center, and the reason you talked about the painting and refresh, because we had mentioned it, but we really, I don't know that we ever really, other than consensus, said, well, we could do it. But I thought we discussed, maybe I did it to myself, that we were going to hold on that, in my thoughts.
You have a couple options. So when we talked about it during the budget process, if we were to continue with the daycare as it is,
systems,
it
yeah.
needed to be refreshed and updated. If we repurpose the building and make it a hub for IT, it still needs renovations and needs to be fixed. So that's what this placeholder will be. And then we can always decide
As we go through the process.
we move forward if it's going to be for IT or.
I just see that's another $229,000 that,
What's the square footage there, Heidi, for?
there's two buildings, right?
I'd have to look it up. It's one building. It has
That
a
was the second one.
screened-in area, I think, off the back or sunroom. I'd have to look it up on the property appraiser. I don't know it off the top of my
But
head.
would it be big enough for IT?
It's not going to, it wasn't intended for all of IT. With the expansion of the dispatch 911 center, we were looking at creating a home base for the folks that support the CAD and RMS
Oh, okay.
radio system
In
where
the expansion?
it would be part of the expansion with the dispatch center. So not everybody would be there. But right now, we've got folks that are displaced among 3 different locations that they would essentially go to this facility.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
no problem.
a lot of things are going on that I'm not aware of, so I'm just trying to keep in tune. Thank you.
All right. Next up is the new construction. So we have the Red Roof Inn Fuel Depot. We have fire station funding split between Fund 316 and the half-cent sales tax. We have the EOC dispatch expansion that Heidi just mentioned. Then we have the training tower, fence, and vehicle storage building, some funding for stormwater, and County Road 304 resurfacing in both the half-cent and Fund 112.
Okay, I just want to clarify that half-cent sales tax is what's been in process for a long time.
Correct, that is the existing.
And do you know when those sunset?
Top of my head, 2032, 2030, 2032.
You know the sunset date, the years of those two?
I'd have to look it up, but the square footage is
I
4142.
was going to say 4,000, yeah.
I'll look up the sunsetting date now.
Thank you. Last question. Here's another question. Who oversees, while she's sunsetting, who oversees the progress? Is there any way we get an update on like a monthly basis of what's going on with these CIPs, capital improvement projects? I don't know that we ever know what's going on between this meeting and a meeting from a year from now, or December, or quarterly, or whatever. Just in the people ask you and you don't know.
Understood.
It's been more regular, the updates have been. I don't know that we have them on a set schedule, but
Is it possible to make I'll let Jorge talk for that. Sorry, Brian.
You're fine.
Didn't mean to cut you
I don't
off.
want to speak for other staff. 'cause I
No,
don't
you
have-
can't. I appreciate it.
So we do have on the
the
engineering.
transparency site.
Yeah,
Right.
the transparency website has, on the engineering side, we have all the projects that they're managing right now. And then we have the capital, the CIP projects that are under $1 million or $1.2 million are in a different section in there, but it's static, and we have them updated, probably on a monthly or 2-month basis. We're working with our GIS folks and the general service folks to create the same dashboard we have for engineering, which is more real time, and we'll be publishing that in our dashboard as well.
Okay, so who's doing that?
We're working, myself, the GIS team, Taylor, and a project coordinator from General Services.
Okay, so you got
That's
3
for the
different
CIP.
people working on one team.
Yes, this is
From
for
3
the
departments.
CIP, which are under $1 million, which are the ones that are managed by the General Services team.
Okay,
The larger projects, capital projects, vertical projects, are managed by the engineering team, and that's already in here. And as they update it, when they meet, they push the spreadsheet over to the dashboard, and it gets updated.
okay, I just was hoping that we could get a accountability of what's going on, because people do ask me, and I don't necessarily have the answers.
Yeah, you'll be able to point into the dashboard, and we'll have them there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I would say is either get with technology or Jorge and go through what's all the information that's on the transparency website, because then you can pull that up with somebody, either on the laptop or your desktop computer or your phone.
Is the public open to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, then maybe that would be, or I can send them. Thank you.
Anything
Okay.
else?
And Brian's correct, it ends December 31st of 2032.
32.
2032.
So next up is just a summary of those 2 slides, and it follows a similar format from our adopted budget book. So it's just all in totality.
Okay.
All right, and as I
So
mentioned.
does the
oops, sorry.
ecosystem fall off? Does everything from this year fall off because the year ends, but you keep the funding in place until the project's completed?
Correct. So consistent with our budget process, we're only going to adopt it one time. We will carry it forward until either the project is completed or the board decides that that's not a project we want to do anymore.
Okay.
So this is just new first year adopted, or if we were adding some additional money. So you saw that in the current year adopted where we increased funding for Justice Center flooring. We had put some money aside, year went past, we didn't do the project, it came in more expensive, add funding to it.
So that's, Commissioner, that's another reason that dashboard works, is because it's ongoing. This is just
This is a
a
brief
spot in
summary.
time,
I got it,
yeah.
it's a summary.
Is there a spreadsheet with all the carryover projects?
Our financial system would have that.
Just
it-
not put together?
Correct.
Okay.
And definitely not in any type of format
Okay.
that would be presentable. Correct.
Oh, boy. Some of us we's.
And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to come back on the 18th with the full 5-year. So we'll be looking for your direction on those out years. What we're hoping to solidify today is that you're good with the FY26 projects that we've been talking about for a little over a month now. And if you're not, then say it now so that we can make the necessary adjustments. And then, so that kind of finishes the CIP portion of it. Again, today is a meeting of, are you guys good with what you've seen so far? Type of check-in. We want to have a smooth first and second public hearing. This meeting is traditionally when we come to you guys and say, are you looking to make any other changes that we have not discussed? Some of these are from the board's direction, others are just from us. For example, the house count on residential solid waste. We get more data from the property appraiser or the building department. We're updating our estimates to keep the budget more in line. So if there's anything else you guys want to discuss, we can.
I want to clarify the number 2, 3, 4, and 4 on there. The inmate medical increase, it tripled.
Correct. So we are seeing very, very high numbers. I believe you just approved it this morning, budget transfer. We're trying to get in line with that. So we were already planning an increase from adopted 25 to adopted 26, but seeing what we're currently doing year to date, I want to increase it more in the 26 budget. That way we're not coming back for reserves. We see the impact now, get ahead of it.
But they lost population, and yet the medical increased. I guess that's an interesting dynamic. I don't understand that one. The SOE asked for more than the other constitutionals requested. So how did we address that with this increase?
So the increase we're talking here is the numbers that were presented as part of the tentative budget didn't reflect what her COLA was going to be. So when we did the 4% down to the 2%, there was a difference. We're just trying to get her made whole for her 2%.
Okay, so we are going to give her more of that because of the size of the...
Just that she's getting what she should have gotten, that her 2% decrease was miscalculated.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that, okay. And then the Flagler Beach lifeguards. So we're paying for them to come back.
Correct. That I think was on the the last meeting.
Okay, but it says add them back. Okay,
Yeah, so everything in reference here is from the tentative budget. So we presented you the tentative budget, and anything that we are going to do differently than that is what we're talking about.
okay, so there will be lifeguards there? Of what, right. We're paying them and subsidizing them. Gotcha.
We're
Thank you.
subsidizing.
Commissioner Carney shared that with me, so I can hear it now. Thank you.
Okay, so any other discussion about changes you guys want to see?
What is this Public Safety Coordinating Council? Is that the sheriff's
Yeah.
quarterly?
Yes. So they met in July. They decided on what programs they wanted to fund this year. We're just going to put the budget in the correct accounts for it.
That was already voted on, too.
I did want to mention, we do have 2 future grants that you'll be seeing probably in the next 2 meetings that would also be on here. We have some funding for County Road 205 and another beach funding. So while those will be included in what you see, the changes from the tentative to the adopted at your first public hearing, they just didn't make it to this list because we're working on the agenda now. So
All right, I'm good. Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
And then just another reminder, this is what we have coming up. We'll come back on the 18th. We'll look at the 5-year CIP. You guys can make suggestions and edits, and then we'll go into our first and second public hearing to adopt.
Getting close.
Yeah, real close.
Thank you for all your hard efforts. Brian, you're really a champion of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Patience of a saint.
All right. Are there any other items that needed to be brought up?
Not on our end, sir.
Okay. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. If anybody wishes to address any of these 3 issues that we had, come on up, state your name.
I get 3 minutes per issue or 3 minutes for all 3 issues? Jane Gentile,
3 minutes.
Okay. I'm glad that your priorities in Tallahassee, I'm totally in favor. We have the county attorney. I'm very personally impressed with Mr. Rodriguez. Not that you guys should care, but right now I'm looking at the old Dixie Hotel with the gates wide open after 13 years and all the debris sitting there. So I hope Mr. Rodriguez is able to foreclose on that property and that we can have that debris removed before somebody gets killed. On Mr. Rodriguez's contract, I think it's very well done as a former paralegal and very much involved in county politics as a citizen. I do not like his duty, the contract is 6 pages, but his duties and obligations are 1/4 of 1 page. That kind of bothers me. But what you did put here, I think is excellent, because it is pretty complete, except retaining outside counsel as necessary. I think the board should have to decide what's necessary, because all the outside attorneys that Al Hadid retained, he retained them the minute he got a complaint in the mail. He called the attorney. I think it's nonsense. You say here, one of the reasons, Mr. Rodriguez has court experience. I don't think we should have any outside attorney without a supermajority vote of the county commission, because that is going into our tax money. Our taxes are going up, but our portability went down. This whole county needs a reshaping, and thank you, Pam Richardson, for shaking your head in agreement. This is retaining outside counsel as necessary, subject to approved budgets. You have an attorney. As a matter of fact, I'm going to suggest that when Mr. Rodriguez takes over, I have 2 things to say. He won't have to report to us until October 2026, so he kind of gets 2 months for free this year. He doesn't have to report to us in October 2025 what he's doing from August 11th. But I want him to review, and I'll be glad to sit with him and Kim. Everything with McKinnon needs to be fired. He needs to get rid of the hotel. All these outside attorneys, I would like Mr. Rodriguez to review these cases to see if these outside attorneys that Al Hadid hired because he was too lazy, in my opinion, to do his work, that we can get rid of them and Mr. Rodriguez can take over the cases. I think he needs to look at the cases, and I think if he sees them, he'll throw up at the unnecessary motions just to give these attorneys money. And I think he should start a little bit lower in salary. Can I just tell you what I think he should start at?
Sure.
Thank you. He's now he was working for $153,000. He's not moving into Flagler County. He doesn't have to. I had asked if he was willing. So he doesn't have any moving expenses to come to us. Okay? I really think that I don't want him getting mad at me because I want him on my good side. But I think $175,000 is more than most county attorneys make. And remember, Flagler County is only responsible for 30,000 out of the 130,000 people who live here because we're not a charter county. And I thank you so much for your time. I wish he would start at 175 because he doesn't have any moving expenses, and then go from there. If he's good after a year, give him his 195. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Raymond Royer, Painters Hill. I would like you guys to really consider SB 180. I wouldn't condemn it totally. I listened to the arguments from the state representatives. They had some good arguments. The reason we're having a mass exodus of Florida currently with 180,000 properties at the highest for sale is because places like Tampa and stuff like that with these storms, this bill's trying to create a more grandfather, per se. And I'll use my property as an example. You know, I came here for a pool variance, and then before the hearing started, I had to hear that my back setbacks were not correct. Now, when the properties were bought, the gentleman bought 10 feet to get 10 more feet from the adjacent property. So now I have 6.5 feet setbacks. I'm told if my property gets 50% or more damage, I'd have to move my property. Well, do I insure that for that? Okay, because insurance is crazy right now. It may never happen. So do I pay that high cost to move my whole property 10 feet to meet the new setbacks? Places like California and these disaster areas, they're doing emergency waivers where they're even waiving all the setbacks and everything. Because, you know, if you don't have a structure on that property, you're not getting a good tax base anymore. You're only paying taxes on that property. So I would not just strike out SB 180. It has a lot of good arguments for why it was presented, and different representatives from different areas of the state got to that conclusion. Because, like right now, my property got destroyed. I'm not insured to move my property, and I'm estimating it's probably going to cost me $50,000 to $100,000 to move it. You know, that means a new foundation, new plumbing, you know, everything. So, and do I insure that at this time? You know, insurance is crazy as it is right now, living on the ocean side. So I would not scratch SB 180. I would actually examine it a little further. And for the real estate side, it's hindering real estate right now. And I think what the state's trying to do is trying to bring the litigations to a halt, because there's a lot of litigation, because people can't build on the prior grandfather clause, because all this new setbacks are being imposed. So, yeah, I would highly consider not to scratch SB 180. Thank you.
Thank you. We weren't saying to terminate it exclusively. We had 3 bullet points if you go back to the slide. Okay.
Some of those were, you know, you're talking about, like you talked about earlier, about grandfathering, you know, and then having the new setbacks. That's what I heard in my hearing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if my property gets 50% or more, I got to move, you know, and I should be grandfathered. That's what I'm looking at, so I don't have to. As long as my foundation's good, I shouldn't have to move it. That's what I'm looking at. You know.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Anything else from the commission? All right, seeing none, motion?
Yeah, move we adjourn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, a motion by Commissioner Hanson to adjourn. So we're adjourned. We're going to take a brief 5-minute break, and then we'll come back for the special meeting. Just had to page you. Ooh. Whoa. All right, we're going to get the meeting started. This is a special meeting of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners. It's Monday, August 4th, 2025. It is 2:29 p.m. Call this meeting to order. Based on the agenda that I have, we will open up with public comment. If there's anybody that wishes to address the commission on the single topic that we have, which is approval of the county attorney contract. You do get more time.
I did get more
See?
time, thank you. Again, I will reiterate, I think Mr. Rodriguez will make an excellent county attorney. I know he's going to hate me for this, but I think he should be willing to start at 175 because it is an increase. We're not asking him to move. We're not making him move. You know, we're a decent county of only 30,000 people. The lawsuits we're involved in, I really wanted to support him because I would like him, if he can get rid of all the outside attorneys we have now and handle everything, I don't mind the 195 because we're spending $100,000 a year per year for 10 years on outside attorneys. The other thing, I do not think outside attorneys should be hired without approval from the board and a supermajority. We're hiring Mr. Rodriguez because he has litigation experience. Al Hadid hired a former county attorney who left the county and went into private practice. This is nonsense. If he's litigated before, and it even says his responsibility is to us, why would he need outside counsel unless there are extenuating circumstances, and then he should come to the board. And if you give him permission, so be it. Anyway, I wish him the very best of luck. I thank you for what you're doing, and I know you're going to give him his 195. I'd like to sit down with him and discuss the old Dixie Hotel. I just asked Sean Moylan to revoke the permit, okay? He said they haven't done anything to violate the permit. But the state code says you can't do anything to, you have to provide level of safety for the public health and welfare and means of egress, and you have to protect safety, life, and property of the environment. And he says, what have they done to violate the permit? There's gobs and gobs of construction debris in hurricane season back to back with a residential community and an open gate. And Sean Moylan has the audacity to ask me, so we really do need an attorney like Mr. Rodriguez, who I don't think would say they haven't violated their permit. They left the property totally unprotected, right next to residential homes, knocked down a hotel, a 6-month permit. They knocked it down on day one, and they're leaving 180 days to clear it up, and the county does nothing? The county never did anything until I called the health department in 2018 anyway. And I sent you pictures of the pool. There was a suicide there, drug deals. Please hire Mr. Rodriguez and tell him to revoke the permit on the old Dixie Hotel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Anybody else for public comment? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board for discussion of the approval of the county attorney contract.
Again, just for reference, under section duties and obligations, all of our applicants were provided with a very intensive job description. I think that we would refer to that if we had a problem with any of the duties, right? They fall under job description as well, correct? Yeah. I'm not in agreement with starting at 175. I am opposed to the vehicle allowance. However, we tend to keep doing things over and over the same way. because it's always been that way. And other than that, I'm going to move for approval of the contract with Mr. Michael Rodriguez as the professional service agreement as county attorney.
Second that.
A motion by Commissioner Carney, seconded by Commissioner Hanson. We've had public comment. Do I have to go back out? Okay. And just want to make sure if there's any other comments or questions we address before I call the questions. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and call the question for approval of the county attorney contract as presented. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Hold on one second. There's one other item I want to make sure we address before, we have 7 days before the 11th. We need to
gonna say the time.
appoint Mr. Moylan as our interim county attorney in the meantime. So there's a short window where he needs to be our designated
Oh,
attorney.
because Al's retired.
Yes, because Al's last
Okay,
day was
I
August 1st.
couldn't figure out what the week meant, but I
Right,
guess that's
right.
it.
So until the 11th, we just need a motion to appoint Mr. Moylan as the interim county attorney until August 11th.
Mr. Chairman, I move we appoint Sean as the interim county attorney until August 11th, when Mr. Rodriguez takes over.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. Open it up for public comment. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, bring it back to the board and call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Now, if somebody wants to so move.
Move we adjourn.
Okay, thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
You mean it's over now that I got here?
It's out on 305 and